Welcome back to Mountain Connections. Now, as the weather is changing, so is the climate. And so we have often, this is a quite highly debated topic of climate change. And here to talk about a solution and how potentially carbon tax can help with that is Alex Flint, Executive Director. Alex, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. I have to tell you, I'm highly motivated talking to you this morning. I love Park City and skiing there, and climate change and the impact it's having on the ski industry is always on my mind. So I'm just really delighted to be with you this morning. Good morning.
Oh, we are just delighted to have you here. Now, this is a very important topic. So talk to us a bit about climate change and the carbon tax, how that could be a possible solution.
Yeah, so we're polluting the atmosphere. Best scientific consensus is right now global average temperature will go up 6.5 degrees Fahrenheit by 2100, which, and I know it's not that important in Park City, but sea levels are going to rise about 30 inches. The impact on the skiing is going to be substantial. We have to do something about it. It's time to stop just debating it. So now the issue is what? And what we think is that we can regulate the activities in the economy. The government can subsidize certain activities, but the most transformational policy tool available to policymakers is to impose a cost on carbon pollution, a carbon tax, which will incentivize individuals and people to avoid carbon pollution so they don't have to pay the tax and fundamentally reduce the atmospheric concentration of those gases that are driving climate change. And I know it's a difficult subject, but it's a really important subject, and it's time for us to look it straight on and just deal with the reality of the situation.
Now, Alex, tell us, how can this revenue benefit individuals and communities nationwide?
Well, recall, I hate taxes, right? So I don't support paying carbon taxes. What I encourage people is, if we enact a carbon tax, do everything you can to avoid paying it. To the extent the government collects revenue, that revenue should be used to reduce worse taxes, or taxes on earnings and income, right? If we want to grow the economy, we need every incentive we possibly can have for people to go to work and earn a living and produce commodities that we all need. The best thing to do with the carbon tax is use the revenue to reduce taxes on earnings and income. Keep the tax revenue to the government the same, just shift the way the government collects its revenue.
Now, speaking of revenue, what have businesses been doing to impact climate change and to be more aware of it?
So today, we're seeing businesses take the lead on climate. The government is jammed up, is unable to agree on new climate policies right now, but corporate America is really taking the lead. We're seeing that from some Utah companies as well that are coming to the government and saying, look, we understand the reality of climate change. It's taken us decades to get to this point. We need policies that can be in place for decades to address this problem. Let's work with Democrats and Republicans to come together to enact durable policies so that we can know what to expect. We can all change our behavior over the long term. We're at that point, and my hat's off to corporate leaders. Right now, I think corporate America is leading on this transformation.
Now, moving on from corporate America, what should Congress be doing to combat climate change?
Well, look, I try to convince Congress every day to be more serious and more credible, more responsible, if you will, about climate change. And right now, it's really tough. This is a politically divisive issue. But we are going to see, we're going to see horrible wildfires. And the drought that you're experiencing in the West right now is real. And over the long term, those things are going to get worse. There is a political imperative for Congress to act. This is really beginning to affect people's lives and livelihoods. And so what I hope is that Congress is going to see that pressure and respond to that pressure and really work through some of these difficult conflicts that exist right today until we can get to the point where we enact responsible climate policies.
Now, Alex, you're very passionate about this subject. Now, talk to me about how you decided to spearhead this initiative for Alliance.
I decided that we have a moral obligation to make sure people have access to energy, that we don't at the same time we use that energy pollute the environment, and that it was time for particularly Republicans, and I'm a lifelong conservative, to engage on this issue and come to the table with our own proposals and force some sort of resolution so that we don't have to worry about these terrible consequences that we're going to face otherwise.
Well, we certainly appreciate your passion and your drive to really bring this subject to the forefront. Where can we go for more information?
AMSresearch.org has all the details anybody could ever want. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you, and I know that everybody loves the outdoors here in Park City, especially as the weather begins to change, so we want to preserve it as best we can. Now, we have a few more fun summer things planned for you here on Mountain Connection, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.